The project details have not been communicated with us. There have been, I think for the Pacific Northwest hub, they're in project negotiations, and it's sort of seemingly behind closed doors. We have not received any updates.
The DOE, while they're making efforts to seem, right, to check a box at the bare minimum that they've touched with communities, has been really superficial, has been fairly disrespectful to the local knowledge of folks on the ground, and treated anybody here with any dignity of what they deserve to know about projects.
They haven't done a ton of outreach outside of a few selected stakeholders, which kind of elucidates how non-transparent and opaque this whole process has been. The actual community outreach has been dismal to nil.
There hasn't even been an identification of locations. So there hasn't been a proper notification of any of the residents that are going to be affected by any of this. And by the time anything might be approved, it will be too late.
Ideally, it would look like a partnership. I believe community should be involved as soon as possible. And, when a project is in its very early conception phases, as we tried to engage with Arches, community should have autonomy over what happens in their neighborhoods.
It's very clear that the administration has a plan, right? Has already made deals with these fossil fuel operators. And now this permitting process or community benefits process just seems like a barrier they have to figure out how to get through to just get the dirt moving on the ground, but appear to care about communities.
When the Department of Energy and High Velocity Hub and the partners therein do hold these meetings, they do position it as a clean alternative or a bridge to full renewables.
The Department of Energy has tried to pitch this project as being beneficial to the host communities, but we have great concerns about that framing. Critically, we can know that making hydrogen out of fossil fuels is going to have negative implications for those host communities. And these communities are already bearing an unfair burden when it comes to pollution and heavy industry that's already impacting their health and their welfare.
These areas that have been identified are drought prevalent areas. That is a tremendous red flag. There are opportunities to prevent co-pollutants. This would only increase that. That is wildly inappropriate, as none of these concerns have really been addressed, and certainly not comprehensively. And so there needs to be a charge to hold up environmental justice principles. It may be talked about, Justice 40. It's not being done.
The reason that our communities, the Houston Ship Channel, Gulf Coast, was picked for this was to be a proof of concept that hydrogen can be produced cheaply, and the cheapest way to produce hydrogen is fossil fuels.
We are interested to hear how they plan to transport the hydrogen and what safety measures they will be taking to ensure that the public isn't negatively impacted.
There was one meeting with DOE I was in regarding hydrogen, and I asked if there was plans to ensure green hydrogen was utilized, and it went unanswered.
They might state, hydrogen is clean and a clean alternative. It's not an alternative at all. What we're seeing is they're going to be using fossil fuels to create this hydrogen and then use this hydrogen as feedstocks for further chemical production. What we see this as is truly what it is. It's a false solution, and it's a greenwash narrative that unfortunately the Department of Energy is aiding and using our taxpayer dollars to fund, that simply is going to continue business as usual and in fact worsen it.